Alright. Hello everybody, it's me, Kirby. Today I am going to read a piece of fan fiction from the TV show My Little Pony. Now, I actually do enjoy watching this show, and I found a piece of fan fiction that's supposed to be very well written. So I'm going to read it. The name of this story, as you can see right here, is called Slendermane. I get that messed up. It's supposed to be based off the Slenderman. If you haven't heard of that, you can look that up. I don't really care if you do or not. I'm checking my time. Okay, I'm going to record about 10 minutes, and this will be the first part. Now, there are 5 chapters to this story, and this is the first one, so without further ado, Slendermane. The letter for Celestia arrived early one morning, before she had even started raising the sun. The captain of her royal guards had hastily entered her room, carrying it in his mouth. "What is the cause of such an early visit into my private quarters, Captain Gray?" she had asked barely, still waking up. "A message, Your Highness," he had replied, quickly and unceremoniously spitting it onto the nearest surface and wiping a handkerchief across his tongue. The letter was torn and dirtied. Celestia noticed that with some worry that there were several dark red stains covering its surface. Ooh. The message had arrived just a few moments ago via Pegasus, he continued, giving the strange and alarming circumstances of its arrival. I thought it necessary to make sure you received it immediately. Putting down her hairbrush, Celestia gingerly plucked the note from the table. It had the royal seal of Canterlot on its surface. Breaking the seal, she unrolled the scroll and read the hastily scrawled message. It was written by a shaking hoof, and the words were often curved oddly or smashed into each other. Sorry about this. I've never read this before. To move the screen. Okay. As if it had been written in the dark. It wasn't very long, but as she reached the last line, her face had gone pale, a grimace of fear breaking her normally calm countenance. This is what it said. "Dear Princess Celestia, I'm scared. I've never been so scared in my life. I don't know who to trust. I don't know if this note will reach you. I hope with every ounce of hope. I have left that it does. You're my last chance. If you get this letter, know that I never meant to do the things I did. I don't know why I did. I'm not sure what my friends will tell you, but please, for all the years that we've known each other, forgive me. I'm in the Everfree Forest. I'm being followed. I'm begging you, come and get me. Twilight Sparkle." "Where is the carrier of this letter, Captain Gray?" she asked urgently. "I must speak with them at once." "She was taken to the hospital in the center of Canterlot shortly after her arrival," he replied. The urge to look away from the princess was strong as he said the next words, but he resisted and continued. "She has been identified as a resident of Ponyville named Fluttershy. I believe you met her before, though you would have trouble recognizing her now. Her injuries are severe. I'm not sure she's going to make it." "Take me to her," said Celestia, not even bothering to put on her crown before heading for the door. "Of course, Your Majesty," replied Captain Gray as he quickly followed after her. All was silent, save the echo of their hooves on the cold stone floor as they made their way out of the palace, a sound oddly reminiscent of the last few beats of a dying heart. Okay, I'm enjoying the story so far. Chapter 1. A once long dead tree. Twilight Sparkle was jolted awake in the middle of the night by a loud knock on her door. She had just barely fallen asleep after staying up late reading, so the intrusion wasn't welcome. She rolled over, covering her head with a pillow, hoping that whoever it was would simply go away. No such luck. A few seconds later, the knock came again. Then, a few seconds after that. Letting out an angry sigh, Twilight got up from her warm bed and climbed down the long row of stairs to the first floor of the library to answer the door. She was surprised, to say the least, when she discovered who it was. Fluttershy? What are you doing here? Fluttershy was never one to stay up late. She was never one to bother ponies when they were sleeping. She wasn't even one to knock at some boy's door loud enough to be heard, let alone multiple times. Oh, Twilight, I'm so sorry, but something terrible has happened. Well, can it wait until the morning? No. This needs to be taken care of right away before it spreads, Fluttershy muttered. Her eyes were darting around as if she expected something to jump out at her any second, and she was tapping her hooves on the ground nervously. Twilight was still grumpy, but whatever had happened had obviously given her friend quite a scare. Fine, come in. I'm sorry, Twilight, but I can't. I need to get back home as quickly as possible. The animals need me. I don't even understand it myself. I just come back from the Everfree Forest and Sakura... Wait, interrupted Twilight. What were you doing in the Everfree Forest at this hour? It's a long story. There's really no time to explain. I need to get back home, and you need to go see Sakura right away. But we'll have to wait until morning, replied Twilight, beginning to close the door. No, Twilight, wait, squeaked Fluttershy. You don't understand. No, I don't, yelled Twilight in frustration as she swung the door open again, causing her friend to hop backwards a few feet. I have no idea what's going on, and you're acting really weird. You shouldn't have been in the forest at this hour. Something has obviously just spooked you, and now you're overreacting. I'll head to the chorus first thing in the morning, but for now I need to get some sleep. Good night, Fluttershy. As Twilight slowly closed the door, Fluttershy didn't respond. Her head was low to the ground, and she was hiding her face behind her mane. Twilight grumbled to herself as she began to feel guilty. First thing, I promise, she said as she closed the door the rest of the way. Fluttershy only squeaked. Now it was morning, and Twilight was trudging through the Everfree Forest alone. She had stopped by Fluttershy's cottage along the way to see if she wanted to come along, but there was no answer. In all honesty, Fluttershy was probably still tucked away in her own warm bed, dreams of happy little animals filling her head. Twilight felt a slight amount of animosity toward her feelings for robbing her of the same experience. But a promise was a promise, and she would make sure she kept her word. Twilight had never been in the Everfree Forest at this hour. For some reason, the blue morning light filtering through the trees was more disturbing than just plain darkness. Light only made the dark seem darker, and she felt like anything could be lurking in the deep shadows. As her hair began to bristle, either from cold or from the unpleasant feeling of being watched, she quickened her pace. It wasn't long before she was able to make out the familiar twisted tree in the distance that she recognized as Sakura's house. In a few short minutes she has reached it and eagerly knocked on the door. The sooner she could see a friendly face, the better. She waited for what seemed like hours. Twilight jumped and let out a yell as a small rustling noise manifested from the dark somewhere. Then rolled her eyes at her own fulliness. It was probably just an animal of some sort scampering away. She wasn't awake enough to be doing this, trying to get a hold of herself as she knocked again. As she continued to wait, the feeling of being watched sent a shiver down her spine again. She nervously peeked through the window to see if Sakura was home. It was dark except for a few glowing embers in the cooking pit located in the center of her house. Twilight noticed the back door was open. Sakura? She called. There was no response. Twilight was about to turn away when she saw something move past the window near Sakura's bed. Sakura? Is that you? She said again, feeling uneasy. Twilight began to make her way around the tree, her muscles tensing with anticipation. Whatever it was she saw was at least as big as she was. If it was Sakura, then why wouldn't she answer? If it wasn't Sakura, then what was it? And why didn't she hear it move? Soon Twilight had reached the back of the tree. Twilight looked around carefully, but there was nothing there, just a decoration of some sort. And adorning the yard, which she assumed came from whatever far-off land the car was from. Perhaps her mind was playing tricks on her. Twilight walked over and began to inspect it in order to give herself something to do. As she got closer, she realized that the decoration was a totem pole. Several ponies were carved into its surface, intricate patterns twirling and twisting around them in a way that reminded Twilight of the roots of a tree. Each one was a different design. Some had long manes, some had short manes, others had... Wait, was that Applejack? Twilight leaned closer. The picture she was looking at was a depicted... What? Oh, depicted a pony, the same type, wearing the same type of hat Applejack wore. That alone wouldn't have convinced her, but as she leaned closer still, she noticed more minute details. Etched into the pony's flank, almost too lightly to see, were 3 small apples. Well, guys, that is it for this first part, because I'm almost out of time, so I'm going to end the recording here and start recording the second part after I finish this one. So, goodbye for now.